in the Middle East intensifying, with the entire region now seemingly under attack. You can see smoke rising in Beirut this morning as Israel pounds Hezbollah targets there.
And in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, the embassy there hit by 2 drones, according to the Saudi Defense Ministry, with thankfully no injuries reported. That, of course, being the U.S. Embassy. Now, despite the attacks and tragic deaths of now 6 U.S. service members, the American military is not slowing down, sharing these images of a newly destroyed Iranian naval ship, highlighting the massive firepower being used in this operation. You're watching Fox and Friends First here on a Tuesday morning. I'm Todd Pyro.
And I'm Carly Shimkus. President Trump says the U.S. is ahead of schedule, but the fighting could end up lasting longer than the initial projected timeline of 4 to 5 weeks. Let's head to Tel Aviv, where Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst has the very latest on the ground there. Hi, Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Today, the Iranian regime continued their ballistic missile attacks against Israel. We watched here in Tel Aviv as multiple interceptions took place overhead. We know also overnight the Israelis sent a number of troops into southern Lebanon. They say they're just a few hundred meters into the country, and this is meant to be a defensive posture against the Iran-backed terror organization. They are concerned about the possibility of cross-border attacks now that the northern front with this Iran-backed group has opened. The Israelis responding with more airstrikes against the Lebanese capital of Beirut, going after Hezbollah positions in the Dakhya neighborhood. Overnight, I spoke with Israel's former defense minister, Yoav Gallant, who gave his thoughts on the developing war.
The coming weeks will shape the coming decades in the Middle East and in this part of the world, and I believe that this should be done precisely according to the plan. We need to finish the job.
Gallant telling Fox News that this opportunity is a historic one for the Iranian people, but the Israelis are also looking at the Gulf countries that are getting hit hard. Overnight, we know the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, was hit with 2 Iranian drones. Images showed the building on fire. There were no injuries reported because the embassy was evacuated, but there is a defensive posture now developing between these countries that will need some assistance to shoot down the incoming fire. Vice President J.D. Vance was on Fox overnight, and he discussed what the timeline for this conflict looks like.
There's just no way that Donald Trump is going to allow this country to get into a multi-year conflict with no clear end in sight and no clear objective. He's defined that objective as Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon and has to commit long-term to never trying to rebuild their nuclear capability.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was on Hannity last night, and he said that the Iranian regime was weeks away from being immune to the ability to take out their nuclear and missile programs, and that is why this operation had to take place now. Todd, Carly?
Trey, yesterday I listened with interest as you reported that Hezbollah has 11,000 to 12,000 rockets and missiles in their arsenal, 6,000 in range of Israeli population centers, which is just 20% of their pre-war rocket amount. It begs the question, how hard will it be to neutralize Hezbollah in Israelis' minds, and what is their thinking as a result of all of these numbers?
This is going to be incredibly challenging for the Israeli Air Force because Hezbollah has had decades to embed itself not only in southern Lebanon, but also in the Bekaa Valley in the north and deep into the capital of Beirut. They do have an advantage here, and that's because they were at war with Hezbollah for the past 2 years, and they've been striking the organization ever since they got involved in the fight following the October 7th massacre and the war that erupted between Israel and Hamas inside Gaza. And so, again, we understand that this operation to push forces into southern Lebanon is only to build a defensive posture. There's no indication they're going to go further north on the other side of the Litani River, for example. But it's an indication that the organization still has the ability to launch ground attacks. And the Israelis are concerned because Hezbollah not only has this rocket and missile arsenal, they also have ground forces that can launch anti-tank missiles and things across the border that could threaten northern Israeli communities. And remember, more than 60,000 Israelis had to be evacuated whenever the war developed, and many of them never returned to their homes in northern Israel. And so the Israelis understand the cost here, and that's the reason they are taking this new posture against the organization.
Staying with the missile math here for a second, Trey, there have been reports that Iran has anywhere from between 1,500 to 2,500 missiles. In light of what you reported yesterday, which I found very, very interesting and fascinating, the fact that Iran is sending multiple missiles at any one particular time in order to try to get through the extensive Iranian missile defense system. Does Iran run the risk of running out of missiles anywhere in that 4 to 5 week time frame that the president of the United States put out there?
Absolutely. The Iranian regime is going to run low on missiles and launchers well before the United States and Israel ends their campaign against the regime. We know that the Israelis and the Americans are going after these launching positions to try to neutralize the main threat that the Iranians can pose to Israel and to Gulf countries. Now, the Iranians also have shorter range ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones. They'll continue to try and target U.S. forces and Gulf countries. But if they're able to take out much of the launching positions for the regime, it will give the Americans and the Israelis more ability to operate against Iran and take away that big threat. As this story develops, there is no indication that there will be a large number of ground forces that would ever enter into Iran. The posture just simply doesn't exist right now in the region. The deployment has largely been air and sea forces. But Israel understands the threat is not over. They're urging the civilian population here to remain close to bomb shelters, understanding that it could take days, if not weeks, to neutralize.
Trey Yingst with the very latest from the region. Trey, we thank you. And of course, as always, stay safe. Staying with our Fox News alert now, Central Command announcing U.S. forces have destroyed Islamic Revolutionary Guard command and control facilities and regime air defense capabilities. All this as a new video shows U.S. forces taking out 11 Iranian naval ships in the Gulf of Oman, eliminating all of Iran's ships in the area. This as B-1 bombers successfully degrade Iran's ballistic missile capabilities. President Trump giving an update on the timeline of the U.S. military strikes. Listen.
We have the strongest and most powerful by far military in the world, and we will easily prevail. We're already substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay, whatever it takes. We also projected 4 weeks to terminate the military leadership, and as you know, that was done in about an hour, so we're ahead of schedule there by a lot.
Joining us now is former CENTCOM director and former U.S. Army Colonel Joe Buccino. Joe, thank you so much for joining us. So the president also says that he is not ruling out ground troops, sending troops in on the ground. Give us a sense of what you believe that could look like.
Yeah, in my mind, Carly, that would be a limited troop presence for a limited time. It'd be there'd be a specific time horizon around this to allow for another leadership construct, another regime to take place. And so perhaps you're putting in, Reza Pahlavi. There's talk about Reza Pahlavi going in. In my mind, that's just temporary. He would serve as a bridge to some other leadership structure that's amenable to Israel, that Israel can live with, and that would be amenable to a broader nuclear deal, the kind of nuclear deal that Iran was continually pushing away from. So in my mind, that's after this phase. General Kane and Secretary of War Hegseth yesterday, they spoke about 4 objectives, right? Destroy the Navy so that Iran can't hold the Strait of Hormuz at risk and couldn't restrict oil. Okay, that's done. Continue to attrit and destroy all of the ballistic missile capability of Iran. That's well on its way, as you said in your last segment. Then knock down the nuclear facilities, to continue to degrade the nuclear facilities. That's ongoing. And then destroy the proxy networks in the region. So once those 4 are done, I think a limited troop presence perhaps to allow a regime that's not a hardline regime, so that you don't have, like, for example, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps take over in Tehran, because that would be even more hardline than the mullahs.
The president also vowing to step up strikes on Iran, warning, quote, his quote, "The big one is coming." What possible targets could be next when the president refers to the big one coming?
Well, in my mind, they'll continue to hit the leadership and continue. These are not really pinpoint strikes. These are bunkers. These are fortified structures where the mullahs are bunkered down in. I think they're going to continue to hit those. They're going to continue to hit the ballistic missile capability. And all this is happening now with through technology. You know, we've got sensors. We've got AI capabilities that are collecting data through satellites in low Earth orbit. Data's coming in. It's being sorted through machine learning. So all this is happening very quickly. We've got an air campaign with the B-1 and B-52 bombers. We've got capabilities that are coming out of the carrier strike groups, Tomahawk missiles coming out of the submarines. And so this is going to continue, as President Trump described, for the coming weeks.
So President Trump said that his biggest surprise so far has been Iran attacking the Gulf states to the level that they are. Do you think that this will prove to be a mistake by Iran in the end?
It already has, Carly. This is a stunning strategic miscalculation by Iran. In fact, it's already pushing the Gulf states towards Israel. And the Gulf Coordination Council has already decried Iran and has already vowed to get back at Iran for this. And I think this could possibly set the Gulf states on path towards normalization with Israel, which would reset the region, particularly if you have a new leadership, a new regime in Iran that's not a hardline regime.
What does it say that President Trump finally got these Gulf states, majority Muslim neighbors of Iran, to finally challenge the Iranian regime after all these years? I agree with you, Joe. It is a fascinating turn of events, Carl.
And Joe, just really quickly, because you said something interesting. We run out of time, but I was hoping you could touch on this briefly. Of course, General Kane and Secretary Hegseth had this big press conference yesterday, and you talk about the most important people that they were speaking to. Can you tell us about that?
The most important people they were speaking to was the leadership. So just, and we're going to get through this very quickly, but what you want to see right now is the leadership in Iran. So what you want to see right now is the conventional force split from the paramilitary force. Okay, Secretary Hegseth, hey, we're going to continue. We're going to wipe out the leadership. If the conventional force gets this message and they move in with the protesters or lay down their weapons and move away from the fighting, then you're going to see a situation where they're going to have a real fissure in the leadership of Iran. And that may allow the protest movement to take over. That may allow the protest movement to topple the regime, which is what you want. You want the people of Iran deciding this.
It's a crucial distinction. Former CENTCOM director and former U.S. Army Colonel Joe Buccino. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Joe.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.